Have you ever felt emotions that were not your own? A sadness you couldn't name, a heaviness that came from nowhere, as if the invisible pain of others somehow lived within you. You smile, you comfort, you understand, but deep down you are quietly drowning in the feelings you absorb. You are not weak. You are not broken. You are an empath, a soul whose heart has no armor. The world tells you to be strong, to harden yourself, to care less. But you were never meant to be numb. You were meant to feel. You sense the currents beneath words, the truth behind eyes, the ache behind smiles. You pick up what others release. You heal what others ignore. And yet, in trying to help everyone, you forget yourself. Carl Jung once wrote, "Who looks outside dreams. Who looks inside awakens." The empath's path begins with pain, because only through feeling everything can they discover the source of what they are. They wander through confusion, carrying emotions like heavy stones, until one day the question arises from within, where do I end, and where does the world begin? That question is the beginning of transformation. It's the moment the empath stops drowning and begins awakening. Part 2. The turning inward. As you start to look within, something miraculous happens. The flood quiets. The chaos slows. The noise of the world fades into stillness, and you begin to hear your own voice again. You realize your sensitivity was never a flaw. It was a compass, pointing you back to yourself. Every emotion you felt from others was a reflection of something within you, a mirror showing you what still needed to be healed. And slowly, you begin to see that empathy is not about absorbing the world's pain, but understanding it, transmuting it into wisdom, art, compassion, and peace. Boundaries are not walls, they are sacred circles. They are how love learns to breathe. Without them, even the light burns out. The empath's power is not in feeling everything, but in understanding everything, without losing their center. The world will say, "Don't be so sensitive," but the universe whispers, "Feel everything, and still remain whole." Because the empath's true purpose is not to save the world, but to become so fully themselves that their very presence begins to heal others naturally. To know yourself is to remember what you truly are, not a sponge for pain, but a vessel for transformation, not a victim of feeling, but a guardian of energy, light, and love. Have you ever felt the sorrow of others echoing through your own heart, as if their tears fell inside you? You smile when they smile, yet quietly drown in emotions that are not even yours. You are not weak. You are an empath, a being whose heart hears what words cannot say. But such a gift carries its weight. You feel everything, the joy, the fear, the loneliness of the world. And sometimes you forget which emotions are yours. You lose yourself trying to hold everyone together. Carl Jung once said, "Who looks outside dreams. Who looks inside awakens." Your awakening begins here, in the storm. The chaos that once felt like punishment is actually your initiation into self-knowledge. To know yourself is not to run from pain. It's to walk through it until you see who you truly are. Part 2. The turning inward. When the empath finally turns inward, something begins to change. The noise of the world fades, and a quiet truth emerges. Your sensitivity is not weakness. It is ancient wisdom, the language of the soul. You start to understand that boundaries are not selfish. They are sacred. They are how your spirit breathes. The world may ask you to feel less, to care less, to dim your light. But the universe whispers, feel everything, but do not lose yourself in it. Your purpose is not to carry others' pain, but to transform it, to turn sorrow into compassion and chaos into meaning. This is the moment of clarity, when the empath becomes the alchemist. Your heart becomes a mirror, reflecting pain into peace, darkness into light. Part 3. The hidden universe within. And then the awakening deepens. You realize you are never just a body or a name. You are a bridge between worlds, a spark of the divine wearing human form. In stillness, you meet your true self, not the mask the world gave you, but the soul that has always waited beneath. Every wound has shaped you. Every heartbreak has opened your heart a little wider. You are not too sensitive. You are awake in a world that still sleeps. So now, breathe. Turn inward. There is an entire universe waiting inside you, luminous, infinite, alive. To know yourself is to awaken that universe, to walk through life not from fear, but from truth. This is your journey. This is your calling. Know yourself, the hidden universe within you. There is a strange tension that fills the room whenever an empath enters. Those who live superficially, who command others by tone and posture, who seek control through humiliation, suddenly go uneasy. They do not know why. They only feel that something within them has been seen, and this seeing is intolerable. The empath carries no sword, no shield, yet the very air bends around them as if they were a mirror made of soul light, reflecting the unspoken truth of every heart nearby. And it is precisely this mirror that terrifies the disrespectful. For in the presence of the empath, the lie of dominance collapses, and the fragile architecture of the ego trembles. What I call an empath is not a sentimental creature, nor the soft-hearted rescuer our culture imagines. It is a person whose psyche has grown porous, whose boundaries between conscious and unconscious have thinned through suffering and inner work. Such a being feels not only emotions, but archetypal movements, the shadow currents that swirl beneath the masks of civilization. When the empath stands before the disrespectful, before those ruled by the persona of control, a secret drama unfolds. The shadow of the oppressor meets the light of the empath's awareness, and this encounter, though invisible, creates psychic friction. You can sense it, an unspoken battle of energies that exposes what power truly is. The disrespectful one, you must understand, is enslaved by fear of inferiority. Their arrogance is armor, their mockery a desperate ritual to keep vulnerability buried. When an empath meets them, the empath does not fight. Their very stillness awakens the repressed shame within the other. The disrespectful feel stripped naked before a gaze that sees without judging. And that is the most unbearable gaze of all, to be seen and not condemned, for it strips the ego of its defenses. Thus, hostility rises. They sneer. They dominate conversations because they cannot tolerate the resonance of conscience that the empath silently evokes. If you wish to understand why, you must descend into the architecture of the psyche. Within every human being dwells the shadow, that realm of rejected instincts, forbidden desires, and disowned selves. The disrespectful have banished their own tenderness into that darkness. They have repressed the child who once begged to be loved. But repression does not destroy, it only hides. The empath's presence acts as a subtle lantern within that cave, illuminating what was exiled. And what awakens first is anger, for anger is easier than grief. The disrespectful rage not because they hate the empath, but because the empath resurrects the part of them they try to bury alive. I have often said that one does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. The empath embodies this principle through their very existence. Their sensitivity is the fruit of inner confrontation. They have already faced their own darkness. That is why they radiate calm. They have met pain without fleeing, and that courage becomes a vibration that others can feel. Those who have not yet faced themselves misinterpret that calm as judgment, as superiority. But it is not superiority. It is self-possession born of integration. The empath no longer divides the soul into good and evil. They contain both. And that wholeness emits a silent authority that threatens those still living in denial.